Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 191, Stand By Me, which is which is an adventure drama from 1986. This has an 8.1 on 339,154 votes. So, hold on. I'm a dummy. Crap. I forgot to get it out so that I could read it. That's not it. Okay. So, our mystery line from Stalker. No one was able to guess this one correctly. So, I will reveal it. The line was, I could dance with you till the cows come home. On second thought, I'd rather dance with the cows till you come home. And that is from Duck Soup. So there is that.
As like Duck Soup, Marx Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, love them. They're great.
So the colors we have left are purple and light blue.
Purple.
Purple. I'm not going to do that one. It's the same freaking movie. It really is. It's like the first one that I looked at is Duck Soup. So I'm not going to do that one.
Oh no, that's not a good one.
That one's easy. That one's easy. We'll do this one. Well, I've wrestled with reality for 35 years, Doctor, and I'm happy to state I finally won out over it. That is our mystery line for this movie. Make sure you guess our mystery line from the Grand Budapest Hotel. You still have one more week before we reveal that one. Which, hold on, I don't remember where it's at. Crap. I'll read that one again one more time for the Grand Budapest Hotel. Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. So make sure you guess on that one and our one from this week, which we will reveal in Hotel Rwanda. We will reveal this one. So, before we go to the synopsis, I did get a comment on YouTube yesterday on $1 Million Baby from Amend the End, which is a very new YouTube channel. His very first episode or video was October 1st, and I started watching it. He commented on our episode because his very first video is about $1 Million Baby. I was like halfway through watching it, so I haven't watched it all yet. But he just said, "Hi, I just discovered your channel. Look forward to binging several of your episodes." So thanks, dude.
That's nice.
Yeah. I think he only has 2 videos up right now. The first one is, where is it? The first one is Set It Off, and the second one is $1 Million Baby. So what I'm gathering he does is he watches movies. He doesn't like the ending of it, or it has like a sad ending, like a character dies or something like that. And so he just kind of makes his video about it being happy.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't gotten all the way through the $1 Million Baby one, but I'm just like looking forward to it because I loved that movie. And then I'll probably watch the Set It Off one later on when I get a chance. So thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
I don't know his name, but thank you, Mr. Amend the End. Alright, so the spoiler-free synopsis. After learning that a stranger has been accidentally killed near their rural homes, 4 Oregon boys decided to go see the body. On the way, Gordie Lachance, Vern Tessio, Chris Chambers, and Teddy Duchamp encounter a mean junkman and a marsh full of leeches, as they also learn more about one another and their very different home lives. Just a lark at first, the boys' adventure evolves into a defining event in their lives.
Yeah, that's a good description of it.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is directed by Rob Reiner. We saw him earlier with our number 213 movie, The Princess Bride. One of my favorite movies.
It's a very good movie.
He also directed Misery and LBJ.
And I'm so looking forward to watching Misery because I just got done with the book a few weeks ago, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
And I keep saying, Kat, you need to watch this movie already.
I know. Everybody keeps telling me that. I gotta watch it.
You do. Alright.
But I finally have time, so I'm gonna watch it.
Tomorrow.
Finally. Tomorrow.
And our three top billed actors are Wil Wheaton, River Phoenix, and Corey Feldman.
Yep. And let me just say, I do love all three of these guys. I was first introduced to Wil Wheaton in Big Bang Theory as an adult. And he's always talking about his, like, Star Trek days. And there's even, we were listening to an episode the other day, and he was talking about Stand By Me. And I was just like, oh my god, yes. That's so funny. I just watched that movie again, and he's talking about it. Sad about River Phoenix.
Yeah.
How he died so young. And then Corey Feldman, of course. He's great.
It's like, and it's also our fourth character in this. I'll say his name. That's Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah, he's great as well. They picked some great child actors for this movie.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Alright, so the ratings. On IMDb, 33.1% of users rated this at an 8. Metacritic gave it a 75%. It has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes off 53 critical reviews. Two of the fresh, Carrie Rickey. Stand By Me is a small, quiet film that walks tall and resonates long after. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely.
And then Jay Boyer. Its perspective is that of a knowing adult, which is to say that though the film is frequently affectionate and funny, it contains a drop too much of condescension to be entirely successful. That doesn't sound positive.
That doesn't sound positive.
Maybe the rest of it is. I didn't read that one, sorry.
It's okay.
Sometimes I read them, sometimes I just go grab them and I don't care.
It's alright. It's okay.
So the two rotten, Dave Kerr. Stand By Me is a film of honorable ambitions severely compromised by a creeping showbiz phoniness.
What?
Yeah, I do not agree. So, Pat Graham. Reiner seems lost in his own cinematic wilderness. Booth! Get out of here!
That was great.
Damn it. Okay. Pat Graham. Reiner seems lost in his own cinematic wilderness. Buttoned down, careful, almost afraid to move. I don't think so.
No. I guess they watched a different movie than I did.
Yeah, probably. So, the consensus. Stand By Me is a wise, nostalgic movie with a weird streak that captures both Stephen King's voice and the trials of growing up. So, the income, or money rather, the budget was $8 million. Its limited opening weekend, it made $242,795. Its wide release made $3,812,093. In the U.S. gross, it made $52,287,414. Its all-time domestic rank is 1,625. Its highest all-time rank, it hit on December 30th, 1986, which is a month after it came out. It hit number 141.
Oh.
Yeah. So, for the awards, this was nominated for 1 Oscar. and it won 5 other awards and had 10 other nominations. I don't remember what the Oscar it was nominated for is. Oh. So, the Oscar it was nominated for was Best Writing Screenplay based on material from another medium. So because this is based on a book, that's what they're meaning there.
Yeah. I can see why it's nominated for that Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
I can.
So, the BMI Film and TV Awards, Most Performed Song from a Film. I was just like, that's just a gimme. Like, you just put the song in there a million times and it's... But that's for the song Stand By Me. Heartland Film Festival, I guess. Truly Moving Picture Award. It won that one. The Kinema Junpo Awards. Best Foreign Language Film, because I believe that's Japanese awards. National Board of Review, Top 10 Films. Young Artist Award, of course, our 4 boys, Wil Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell. And that's all the awards.
Huh. Okay.
So, you just recently watched this for the first time, so go on ahead.
Did! I've only seen, like, bits and pieces of this movie. This is my first time sitting all the way through this movie. And honestly, I loved it. I did. I was like, well, I knew the director was Rob Reiner, and he directed one of my favorite movies, Princess Bride. So I'm like, all right. I got
that's
some
an
good
automatic, it can't be below a 2.
Exactly. So I'm like, all right, this should be good so far. I watched it. And I had actually read the book before watching this, so I knew what was going to happen. And I really loved it. I did. The kid actors were great. I love seeing some, like, cameo, like, from, like, different actors, like, as they were younger. Like, Kiefer Sutherland's in this. Richard Dreyfuss is in this. So,
yeah,
like, there's so many good things. Story is really good. It doesn't drag on. It does not. At all.
Well, it's kind of hard to drag when you have an 88-minute movie.
And it's based off a novella, a short book. So, I mean, it's not going to be a very long movie. I laughed. I cried a little. I felt with the boys. I did. It was really... I love it. I did. I'll watch it again. I would. For sure.
Okay. So... I have seen this before. It took me about 20 minutes into the movie to realize I have seen this before. But I don't remember when I had seen it before. But I do remember enjoying it the very first time I saw it. And I did still enjoy it this time when I watched it. I agree. The child actors are great. The story is really good. My copy that I was watching was kind of terrible, so I can't really comment on much of the visual effects or anything like that, just because it was so fuzzy. I need to get a better copy of it, which they did just recently release this on Blu-ray, so there's a possibility I might get that, because I do enjoy this movie quite a bit. And I will say it's one of those that sticks very, very closely to its source material, which is good.
I can completely agree with that.
Because this was actually the first time I read The Body, which is the novella that it's based off.
Yes.
So I kind of was expecting it to be quite a bit different, like most things are. Like most things, they change quite a bit from the movie to the book. Or the book to the movie. So I was expecting it to be quite a bit different, but really there was only a couple of minor changes that I noticed, which was good, in my opinion.
I actually watched the Blu-ray version.
Oh, did you? So you actually got to see a decent version.
I did.
Mine was
and it was great. Like, I can't say much because you had a crappier version. But it was really, like, clear and everything. The only thing that I feel was, like, aged-wise was some of the CGI. That's it. In one scene. That's it. I can tell the difference between, like, them sticking them, like, behind something and then the actor's in front of it, like a green screen. I can tell the difference, but I've seen a bunch of movies, and I know the difference, so that didn't blend well, but that's, like, my only, like, downside to it.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's all I've got for initial thoughts.
Yeah, same.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So we start off kind of like in this field, like a farmer's field or something. There's a few trees around. You see this blue or green car, Jeep thing.
Yeah.
And it like goes in and focuses on it. And we don't know it quite yet, but this is the older Gordie when he's like 30 something. And he's got a newspaper in his car, and it's an article. We see an article about an attorney who has been stabbed, and his name, of course, is Chris Chambers. And we find out just like literally in 10 minutes, not even, that Chris Chambers is one of his best friends growing up.
Yep. We see two boys riding past on bikes, and this helps him lead into remembering everything that happened. So it starts with a narration, and I recognize his voice. Like, wait a minute, I know that voice. I know that voice. It's Richard Dreyfuss.
I was going to say, I have a fun fact about this when we get to trivia.
Okay, good. I was like, I love Richard Dreyfuss, so I was like, yes! All right, we're doing good so far.
Yeah.
And he talks about how, and like his friends and him in 1959, they said they saw a dead body.
Yeah.
And it's talking about like their town. Was it Castle Rock?
Yep.
If I remember the name correctly. And he's saying like, it's a small town, but it seems like the whole world to him. He's a kid, so of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how old are they in this? Like 12 years
About
old?
12, yeah.
I mean, I'm 26 and I still have not seen... Well, I mean, other than like in funeral homes and stuff, I have not seen a dead body somewhere. Other than like funerals and stuff. So, I mean, this is a major event if you see a dead body in the woods.
Yeah, completely.
So.
That's a kind of a big event there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you see this one kid, he's in like the store, and he's buying like a magazine, and then he goes to the tree house.
Yep.
He goes up, and there's like two other boys, and then him. They're playing cards, and they're smoking and everything.
Yeah, and then another boy comes up. Actually, both of them. They don't come up at exactly the same time, but
No.
It ends up being two more boys come up. And so we've got all four of them in there. We've got Chris Chambers in there, Gordie, we've got Vern, and we've got, oh God, what's his name?
Teddy. And it talks
Teddy,
about Teddy, and you're seeing Teddy, and you see that one of his ears looks a little disfigured. And
Yeah.
it talks about how his dad, like, is a little off in the head and got angry one day and put his ear to the oven. He was trying to burn his ear, and
Yeah.
And then it talks about how Chris is, he comes from like a bad family and everything, and people think he's gonna end up just like his family.
Yeah, like everybody assumes that because he's a Chambers, that he's gonna end up in jail by the time he graduates high school. If he graduates high school.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
You can't assume just one kid, just because
I'm
they come from a bad family that he's gonna end up that way too. That's
Like,
not
this
always
used
the
to
case.
be a major thing that even growing up for me, because I know I lived in a pretty small town, so if you had an older sibling and they went through and had some of the same teachers you did, they just automatically assume you're going to be just like your brother or sister.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those things. We're starting to get away from that. teachers not assuming how kids are going to act just because they know the family, but it's not as far as I would like for it to be.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had that issue, too, because I had my older brother, and we went through the same schools, we had pretty much the same teachers, but good thing my brother wasn't a big pain in the ass, and it was fine. So, my little brother, on the other hand, got screwed, because they had me before, and I was, like, I guess, like, the super genius to them or something, and he comes up there, like, oh, you're Jessica's brother, okay. It's like, yeah, sorry, bro.
That's kind of how it was for me. Like, my older brother, I was in, like, all the pre-AP classes and stuff like that, and advanced classes, and my older brother wasn't. He was just, like, in the normal classes, but that's because I liked school a lot more than either of my brothers. So, my older brother, I never really had his, like, reputation behind, like, coming in, because none of the teachers really knew my brother. There's a few of them that did, and what they knew of him was good, so it wasn't, like, a bad thing. But then my little brother, if he was ever in any of the same classes that I had or had any of the same teachers that I had, they, like, automatically assumed that he was going to be just as good of a student as me. And, you know, boys are not as well behaved as girls in school.
Not always, no.
So, he wasn't terrible. Like, he was just a boy. Like,
just a regular boy.
Yeah, he wasn't terrible. He wasn't the perfect little angel student that would always do his homework. But he also didn't like school as much as I did. Neither of my brothers did. School was just, like, I was jealous of my older brother when he went to school, because I didn't get to go, and he did. Because He was 3 years older than me, and I was like, well, how come he gets to go and I don't get to go? So, but this is just one of those things, it's just like, we need to get away from it more than we are right now.
Yeah, and as a teacher, I am trying my hardest to get away from that. I am. And, like, I teach families, and I try not to assume that younger siblings, like, older sibling. I try my best. I do.
Yeah.
Because I know how that can be. And they don't like to be judged on their older sibling.
Yeah.
I'm, like, sometimes, like, you remind me of them a little bit, but, like, a funny, like, cute way, so.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're smiling just like they are, or something. It gets them going. It's great.
I mean, so long as it's not a bad thing.
No.
Then, like, so long as you're not putting them in a box and assuming that they're going to be a bad child, or assuming that they're going to be super smart and not need your help at all, then it's fine if you just kind of be like, oh, hey, you doing this reminds me of your sibling.
Yep.
It's fine, but...
That's all I do.
In the case of this movie, like, with Chris, it's not a good thing at all. Like,
it is not.
They're just taking any potential that he had from him, just saying, oh, you're going to be a bad kid.
Yeah. Poor Chris.
Yeah. I just like River Phoenix, so I just feel so bad.
I know. I know.
I'm just like, leave River alone.
So, Vern is up there with them now. He's a bigger kid, I'll say that. It's Jerry O'Connell's character. And he's asking, he's like, I gotta catch my breath. I just run straight from my house. They're like, okay, whatever. He's like, can you guys sleep over tonight? You know, he's like asking and everything. Yeah. And then he lets it out, of course, that he's like, you want to see a dead body?
Yeah.
And all of them are like, pay attention to Vern now.
Yeah, because they were kind of making fun of him a little bit. Because, you know, that's what friends do. They make fun of each other. Especially when they're kids.
Especially boys.
Yeah.
It's like they are notorious for that.
Yeah.
Growing up with siblings, 2 brothers, and cousins that were all boys. I know all about that.
Oh, yeah. I had 2 brothers. But we were the oldest of all of our cousins, so we just kind of... Like, me being the girl, I was just like, oh, let's play school, and you guys have to be the students. I'm the teacher. But then my older brothers would just mess with them. Or my older brother and my little brother. So both my brothers would just mess with them.
Yeah, I didn't have that option. Because my cousins and I are all around the same age, so...
Yeah, the closest cousin to me in age, she is 22. And I'm 26, so she's 4 years younger than me. And then my youngest cousin is turning 4 this year, so...
It's quite an age gap there.
Yeah. Because, so the age gap between all of us, the oldest is 29, just turned 29. The youngest is about to turn 4. So it's a pretty big age gap.
I kind of got you beat, but I won't go
I'm
there.
also closer to my aunt in age than she is to her sister, which is my mom.
That's crazy. That is. I'm sorry. That's just a little crazy.
I'm 9 years younger than my aunt. So my older brother is 6 years younger than my aunt. And she is 13 years younger than my mom.
Jeez.
I think.
I was like, I'm not going to say my age gap. It's too big. But I'm Hispanic. Let's just say that and move on.
Yeah, I definitely know some people with big age gaps. Like, 40-year-old youngest cousin is like 3 or something like that. I'm like, holy crap.
Do second cousins count? Like,
second cousins? No, because my second cousins are way older than my youngest cousin. Like, they were adults when I was a kid, so they are like way older because their kids are now having kids. So
I'm thinking. So
second cousins do not count.
Okay, my age gap. I'll say it. My oldest cousin turned 50, and my youngest cousin, first cousin, is 12.
It's 38 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is 24.
Yeah.
25.
Hispanic. That's all I gotta say. We have big families.
I have a pretty big family. I do.
I've only met some.
I've met all of the family on my mom's side. I've never met my dad's sister. Okay, but anyways. We're getting so sidetracked.
We do. It's a Friday night. Come on.
Yeah.
So, it's saying, he says he found it at, he overheard his older brother, because he was underneath the house, digging to find his drawer of pennies that he hid under there. And he drew a map to find the pennies, but his mom cleaned his room and threw away the map. And so now he couldn't find where he left his pennies. So he's digging underneath the house. And you see several holes underneath the house.
Yeah,
of him trying to figure it out where they're at.
So hilarious. This part was I was like, oh my god. This reminds me of when I was a kid. We had a big, huge hole in our backyards, like right behind our back step, of us digging to China.
Oh, I've done that.
That's what we were doing. We dug pretty deep too, but we also had help from the armadillos. So.
Oh, Texas.
Yeah, I had only ever seen one armadillo was running out in the backyard, but they only come out at night, so they weren't helping us while we knew about it. But they were out there. They were digging to China with us. Because, when you're little, you don't realize that you have to go really, really, really far and through the center of the earth, so.
Yeah, but, you're going to try.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. You're going to try. And so he was digging underneath. He heard his older brother talking, saying how they're like, what are they going to do? Because they found, like, this body of it. They're like, we think it's this kid, that's been missing. It's Ray Breuer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that.
And they're like, we can't tell anybody because we stole a car. When we saw it, I'm like, well, that's your own damn fault.
Oh, I guess that's what you get for misbehaving?
I guess. Yeah. And they said they found him off Harlow Road.
Yeah.
And there's the kid, after that, kids are like, well, there's a train right there, so you probably got hit by a train.
Yeah. But so they all decide that they're gonna go. They all agree, yeah, they can get away from their parents. Chris is like, yeah, my dad's gonna be drunk, so it doesn't matter anyway. Which is very sad.
Completely.
But yeah, they all agree to go, and then they all go home to get their stuff, like their camping stuff, because of course they're gonna go out in the woods. It's gonna be a while before they are able to get to the place, because they say it's like 30 miles. And I'm just like, as a kid, I never would have walked that far.
No.
I've been like, nope. Sorry.
Nope. I'm like, nope, I'm not for that.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I did go play out in the woods and stuff, but I never would have gone 30 miles. But also, it was a different world when we were growing up than in the 60s.
Yeah, that's true. It's a bit different now.
Yeah. But, so then we kind of get a little bit of a background about Gordie. And he's telling us about how he is invisible at home because his parents didn't really want him. He was just kind of an accident child. And his older brother is, 11 years older than him?
Something like that. And they, totally love Big Brother. His brother's name's Dennis.
But Big Brother died.
Yes.
4 months ago or something, I think.
It was in a car accident. He was in the military.
Yeah. And they kind of have a shrine to him as his room. It's just the typical grieving process. They don't change anything about the room for a while after the kid dies. Even though he's not a kid anymore, obviously. At that point, he wasn't a kid when he died. But it was still their kid. So.
That honestly reminded me of my uncle. And so I was like, oh, I know how that is. Because that's how my uncle died. Same way.
Really?
Same exact way. In a car accident, he was in the military overseas. Exact same way. So I'm like, oh, personal connection here. I feel it. I do.
But so then he gets all his stuff and tells his dad or his mom, I don't remember who he tells, but he tells them that he's going to go stay over at Vern's in the field. And so he meets up with Chris, and Chris pulls him over into an alley and shows him that he has a gun. And so, of course, they're going to play with it.
Of course.
Chris tells him it's not loaded, but it is. And it's interesting because I can't tell if it was, if Chris knew it was actually loaded, because he's, laughing at him like he knew it was loaded, but then he very seriously tells him, I didn't know.
I think it was more laughter of surprise.
Oh, that's a possibility.
That's what I thought.
But then we get, they're running off, and we get Ace, I think.
Kiefer Sutherland, he's Ace.
Sutherland's character. And another boy messing with them. And they're about 17, I'd say.
Yeah.
In this. So they're the older kids. They're messing with them. Giving Gordie a hard time about his brother, which really sucks. He just lost his brother 4 months ago, and you're going to give him a hard time about it.
Yeah.
And then they let him go and meet up with the other boys, and they're just walking along the tracks.
It's yeah, because Ace actually took Gordie's hat that he had gotten from his brother.
Yeah.
So he's pretty angry about that.
Yeah.
It's a New York Yankees hat.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd mention it.
I hate the Yankees.
I wonder why.
I don't like baseball that much, but I hate the Yankees.
It's a special hate for the Yankees. It's you gotta hate the Yankees and you gotta hate the Patriots. I mean.
Well, no, because when I was little, I did like baseball a lot, and A-Rod was on the Rangers for a long time, and he was on the Rangers when I liked baseball, and then he went to the Yankees, and the Rangers and the Yankees, it's not like the Yankees and the Red Sox or something like that, like a big rivalry like that, but to me, it was a pretty big rivalry, and so I was mad that he would go to one of their rivals.
Oh, I can see that.
So, and then I forever hated the Yankees after that. I don't even watch baseball anymore, and I'm just like, did the Yankees lose? Good. And I was super happy the other day because the Rangers beat the Yankees. Even though, of course, the Yankees are in the playoffs, the Rangers aren't. But still.
It's what counts.
It's the win that counts.
It's the win that counts. The Rangers beat the Yankees.
Yeah. But so they're going on, and they're just kind of being boys. And they realize that nobody thought to bring any food. So they're, like, trying to figure out how much money they have so they can go buy some food. And I think they come up with, what, like $2?
$2.37. And 7 cents is from Vern. Because he still hasn't found his pennies yet.
Yeah, he's like, I still haven't found my pennies.
They're like, oh, you.
But they hear a train coming, and Teddy's like, I'm going to play chicken. He calls it something else, but he's basically going to play chicken with the train. And they're like, no, don't do that. Chris tries to stop him, and they kind of fight a little bit, but Chris is able to get him off of the tracks. And then we jump to the older kids driving, and they're playing mailbox baseball.
Yep.
Which, when I was little, my grandma was a victim of this. But they caught the guys that did it.
Oh, good.
The dummies lived in the neighborhood. Yeah.
That's not smart.
They play... Well, actually, I don't think it was mailbox baseball. I think it was side mirror baseball.
Oh, God.
So it's a little bit worse than
that
mailbox
is worse.
baseball. Because it's your car.
Yeah.
Now that I remember it, it was the side mirrors. But then they jump back to the little kids.
They're at the junkyard because they're going to fill up their canteens of water at the junkyard because there's a good clean pump there. And they're jumping over the fence. And you see Teddy and they're talking about him. They're like, he's a little off, isn't he? You know, because wanting to jump in front of trains. And he used to, backstory, that didn't say that really in the movie, that he used to like playing chicken with cars too. So he's got a kind of a little death wish going on there.
Yeah. And so they're like trying to decide who's going to go get food while they're sitting there in the junkyard for a little bit. They're trying to decide who's going to go get food, so they flip coins. And the first time they flip, it was an even split, I think.
It was 4 tails.
Oh, okay, so they only flip the 2 times then? They don't flip 3 times like in the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I was writing something down, so I didn't remember if they flipped 3 times. But, so yeah, 4 tails, and Vern is like, oh, that's bad luck. Something bad is gonna happen. He's like superstitious about it. And we get some more flashbacks of Gordie's brother after they flip the second time.
And Gordie has to go get the food.
Yep, because he is the only one that flips a different... I think he flips heads and everybody else flips tails or something like that.
Yeah, and he's at the shop, and the shopkeeper is like, he's like asking about, talking about his brother, and that's when the flashback comes.
Yeah, and it's just like, I was sitting there thinking, is he doing this to be rude, or is he just trying to kind of like comfort him and be like, hey, I know your brother, he was a good guy? Because it's not, like, if I knew somebody's like relative died very, very recently, like within a year, because that's a very recent time.
It is.
I'm not going to sit there and ask them questions and like tell them stories about them unless they want me to.
Yes.
If I knew said relative or something like that. Because but I'm also one of those people, I'm just like, keep everything to myself, so.
It's like, it depends, like, I know because I've had losses recently, that it depends on the person, honestly, wanting to say something. If it's like a close family member, then okay, fine, let's tell stories. But it was just like someone, like, saying, you know, hey, I knew that, and like, okay, I don't want to talk about this right now.
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm like, nope, sorry, don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Don't want to bring back those memories, you know, I'm just trying to get through my day here.
Yeah. But so he leaves after he's gotten some Coke and hamburger meat or something like that. Got something. I don't remember. But he is heading back through the junkyard, and junkyard man and his dog Chopper are there now.
Yeah, and the other boys have already, like, booked it and jumping over the fence.
Yeah. But so junkyard man sicks Chopper on Gordie. And he's, like, booking it through, and he just barely gets over the fence before Chopper gets him. And then all of the boys start making fun of the junkyard man.
It's like, oh, it's this little cute little brown dog. And I'm like, that's adorable dog. I'd pet the dog.
Because it's like the Sandlot where they blow the dog out of proportion. Like, make it seem way, way bigger than it is. Like, all the stories are like, oh, it's a killer dog. He's so big, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's the same exact thing. And so when you actually see it, you're just like, okay.
Like, oh.
Like, that's a little dog.
It's like, it's a cute little dog. Never mind. Why should I be afraid of you?
But so they're making fun of the junkyard man, and then the junkyard man starts making fun of Teddy and, like, saying stuff about his dad, about how his dad's crazy and stuff. And Teddy gets so upset about it. And, like, starts threatening him and saying he's gonna kill him and stuff like that. And then they all leave. And Teddy breaks down.
He's crying because, well, his dad's now in a mental hospital, so...
Yeah. Because he keeps telling him, he's like, my dad stormed the beaches in Normandy. Like, his dad was in the war.
So, it's probably, his dad has probably some severe PTSD.
Yeah.
That's probably what that is. And,
So
like, back then, like... It was, PTSD was, like, not even, like, talked about or, like, had, like, any help at all. Especially from, like, the World War II vets.
Yeah.
Because storming the beaches Normandy, of course, D-Day. And that was in World War II. And, of course, nothing. There's no help. Nothing. They just thought you were freaking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, I know, my grandpa suffered through that. So, again, another connection there for me.
Yeah, my great-granddad, the only thing I know about him is he was in, I believe it was that war, but then also I went to his college graduation after that when he came back. I was little, so that's really all I remember about him.
It's like, yes, my grandpa actually lied about his age. He got in at 17 instead of 18 to the army, and he was over in Japan in World War II. So I was like, he actually did have PTSD. He did. Some nights he would just wake up screaming, saying, you know, like, talking about the war and everything. So,
yeah,
it's scary sometimes.
Didn't really know my great-granddad because he died when I was little. But I do remember going to his college graduation. And I asked my mom why he was graduating now. Or maybe it was his high school. I don't remember. It was either college or high school. But I asked my mom why he was graduating now, and she said because he was in the war.
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay.
That makes sense.
And then I don't remember how long after that it was that he died, but it wasn't very long because I don't remember a lot about him because I was really little.
Oh.
But so yeah, he's Teddy, even though his dad did that to him, like did that to his ear, like almost killed him, he's still very attached to his dad. Like he goes and it doesn't say it in the, well, I think it might say it, but he goes and visits him every week.
I don't think it said it in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it said in the book, but not the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, but he was very proud of his dad.
Yeah. And the guys are like, well, Vern's trying to sing to cheer everybody up. And Chris he seems way more mature than everyone. So he's like telling Teddy, he's like, just because old man what's-his-face makes fun of your dad doesn't take away what your dad did. Like, your dad still stormed the beaches. He was still there. It doesn't take away from it. So,
exactly.
That's good. And then Teddy apologizes for being upset. Then it jumps to the older boys again. And they're all just kind of hanging out.
They're carving the word cobras into their arms.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's smart.
With
okay.
a snake at the end. Yeah, they're going to put a snake at the end because I remember him saying, don't move, I'm gonna mess up the snake.
I'm like, that's
oh
not
my
a
God.
good thing to carve that into your arm.
Yeah, but they're 17, so.
They don't think.
Nope.
Of course.
But they hear on the radio about the dead kid. Well, at that point, he's still missing. Nobody really knows he's dead except for a few people. And so the two, Vern's brother and the guy that was with him, are kind of like acting real fishy about it. And so Ace is like, what's going on with you two? And I think at that point they tell him, but we don't really see it. It just kind of jumps away. And so you have to assume. I think.
It's later on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then it goes back to, like, the other boys, of course, you know.
Yeah.
They're singing to Lollipop. I'm like, I love Lollipop. It's a good song.
Yeah.
And Chris and Gordie are talking. They're like best friends. So
Yeah.
they hung back a little bit and they're talking. And Chris is saying that, you know, he's telling Gordie, he's like, you know, I don't want us, like, dragging you down when we get, you know, to school and everything like that, because you're really smart and you're going to do, like, these college courses and everything and be great. And we don't want, you know, I don't want you to be drugged down by us, by your friends. Yeah. He's just looking out for the guy. And Gordie's like, what happens if I want them to drag me down? He's like, well, don't be stupid.
Yeah. And then, Vern and Teddy are discussing if Mighty Mouse could beat Superman. And I'm just like, oh my God, that is a middle schooler conversation if I have ever heard one.
That is, actually.
Yeah.
It's like, Superman or Mighty Mouse? Good question.
Mighty Mouse all the way. That's because I hate Superman.
I love Mighty Mouse too, so I'm like, Mighty Mouse all the way.
But, yeah, Gordie's like saying, well, I don't want to be a writer anymore. I want to be with you guys, and I want to do the shop classes and stuff. And Chris is like, no, don't do that. You're just going to throw away your future to be with your friends, and you shouldn't do that.
He's like, you have, like, real potential to be, like, a great writer.
Yeah.
He's like, don't waste it.
Yep.
And he's
Then
like, well, he's telling him that he's like, well, thanks, Dad. Like, Gordie says it to him. He's like, well, your parents don't care, so yeah, I probably should be your dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, go, friend.
Then we get the train scene. They come up on this bridge.
Oh, yes.
And they're, like, halfway across, and a train starts coming. And they have to book it. And Vern and Gordie are slower than Teddy and Chris. So Teddy and Chris get off the bridge, and Vern and Gordie are like, the train's super, super close to them and almost hits them, but they are able to jump off the bridge right before it hits them.
Yeah, this is the part with the green screen in the back.
Yeah.
And the train. And them running. And I'm like, I can tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only bad thing I gotta say about the filming there. I know it's hard to make it seamless, but it can be done. It can.
Yeah. So then they're gonna camp in the woods. They got a little campfire going and stuff, and they're begging Gordie to tell them a story because they like Gordie's stories. So he's telling them the story about a pie eating contest. And it's about this boy who is overweight, and everybody makes fun of him for it. They call him lard ass and stuff. And this boy is going to get his revenge on everyone at this pie eating contest. And so he prepped himself before to explode, pretty much.
Oh, I know. I'm like, oh, that's some nice revenge there. For sure.
And so he's like eating all these pies and stuff, and you hear the rumbling in his stomach. like, you know, when you're sick to your stomach and you just have that rumbling and you're just like, oh.
Or like, I'm going to vomit.
Yeah. And then it is called the Barforama, and he just, like, he barfs all over this dude next to him, and then that guy barfs, and then everybody's barfing.
You know, it's super silly. It's a good story. It's just silly.
Yeah. My one takeaway from this little pie eating contest thing is, what are the rules? Because none of those people actually finished their pies.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. I'm like, how is that finished? You didn't eat all of the pie. What
Like,
about the crust?
Isn't it eating contest? You're supposed to eat the whole thing before you move on to the next one?
Yeah, that's what I thought. But of course, this is like a 12-year-old's imagination. He probably doesn't know that. So.
Yeah. But then they're just like, he ends the story and everybody's kind of disappointed in the ending.
Well, Teddy
Which
is.
I think it's really kind of funny. Just like in It Chapter 2 that just came out. This is kind of Stephen, because you know Stephen King obviously has a hand in this. It's his book, it's his movie. It's him making fun of himself for bad endings.
Yes, that made me laugh so hard. I laughed.
And everybody, like, he does the same thing in It Chapter 2.
Yeah.
That was recently released, and everybody's like, oh, it's just so funny. And I'm just like, you guys do remember, he's already done this once, right? He's already, he knows. He's known for a long time that he is bad at endings. And I just think it's funny that he can openly make fun of himself about it.
He knows. He's like, endings aren't my strong point.
Yeah. But I will admit, the ending to Misery was actually really good. I enjoyed that.
And I like the ending to Carrie, the book. So that was, and Carrie was like one of his first books.
Yeah, it was his second one, I believe. But yeah, so I just thought it was really funny that Teddy's making fun of Gordie for the ending, and then Vern kind of jumps in, and then
he's like, "That's not a very good ending."
Yeah, Chris is like, "Oh, it was fine," and I just think it's funny. It's just basically Stephen King making fun of himself, because you know he had them put that in the script.
Oh yes, definitely.
But they're just sitting there chilling, and they're talking.
His conversation is hilarious.
Yeah,
they're
just kiddie conversations.
They're like, well, Mickey's a mouse and Pluto's a dog. They're like, what's Goofy? Yeah. Like, these are the questions here.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I feel like every kid has this conversation because nobody can figure it out.
They're like, what is Goofy?
Like, how does Goofy and, like, how are Goofy and Pluto both dogs, but Pluto's a pet and Goofy is not? Like, he's a personified dog.
I was like, Goofy drives a car.
Yeah, so it's just one of those conversations that we really need to get to the bottom of, and we really need Walt Disney to come alive and answer this question for us.
It's like, please let us know.
Like, what's going on here, dude?
We want to know what Goofy really is.
Yes, please. I'm pretty sure he's a dog.
Yeah, I think so.
But then I don't understand why he's a dog and Pluto's a dog, but Pluto's like the pet and Goofy's like the person. Especially because Pluto is the pet to a mouse.
Yeah. It's like all topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
But
so then they like start hearing some like howling noises and stuff. And it's just some wild animals.
But they think it's like the scary woman or something, like screaming.
Yeah. They're all scared and stuff. Then we get Gordie dreaming. And he's dreaming about the funeral.
His dad turns to him, touches Gordie's shoulder, and he's like, it should have been you. I'm like, oh my God.
That is a terrible dream.
That is terrible. It's like, no kid should ever think that or ever feel that way, because your dreams, that's your subconscious talking there. So he's thinking that. Poor Gordie.
But, yeah. So he kind of wakes up in a start, and Chris is still awake. Kind of keeping watch, I guess. And him and Gordie talk the rest of the night about how Chris is no good. Like, everybody thinks Chris is no good. And then we get kind of like a full story from Chris about how people kept thinking that he stole the milk money, but nobody ever asked him if he did. They just assumed he did. And then he goes, Gordie asks him, well, did you steal it? He goes, yeah, I did, but I tried to return it. I returned it to a teacher, but then that teacher stole it and she bought herself a new skirt.
And I got 3 days of vacation.
Yeah. But he's doing this all in like a kind of a roundabout way. He's like, suppose I did. Suppose she did. Suppose they did. Like, admitting it without really admitting it kind of thing. Because he keeps saying, we'll suppose this, we'll suppose that. And I'm just like, this kid is too smart for his own good. Like, he's very street smart.
He is. I like him.
Yeah, I do too.
Not just because of the actor, I like the character.
Yeah, I like the character. I really like the character. So,
and he's like...
Go ahead.
Well, Chris is like, after he's saying that, he's like, he's just so sad. He's like, why would a teacher ever do that? You know? Yeah. And he just wants to go away so no one knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Or knows his family. So he can start fresh and everything. I'm like, I can see that. I can.
Yeah. Then, they wake up the next day and continue on their journey.
Yeah. You see Gordie, this is a part that he didn't tell anybody. Gordie didn't tell anybody until he was writing this, that he was up, because he's the last one on, like, guard duty or whatever. And he's sitting on the tracks reading a comic. And all of a sudden he sees this deer just walk up to him. They're staring at each other. The deer just walks away. It's such a peaceful, calm moment. He's like, he didn't tell anybody about it, not even his friends.
Yeah.
Which I liked. I did. It's just like that quiet calmness in the middle of like them going to look at a dead body.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a nice little scene in there. In the book, too.
Yeah, I remember that in the book, too. Then we jump to the older boys, and Bill and Charlie are telling Ace about the kid. Like, that they had found the kid's body and stuff. And then we go back to the younger kids, and they fall in, like, this... It's not really the river, but...
It's like a pond.
Yeah, it's like a little pond or something. They're, like, gonna go in it, like, to cross it, and they think it's not that deep, but they take, like, 2 steps in, and they fall in. And so, of course, they're boys. They're gonna play. They're gonna have fun in the muddy, dirty water. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed jumping in muddy, dirty puddles, but I would never swim in... Well, actually, that's wrong, because most of the water in Texas looks like that, so... It does, like, there's very few super clear bodies of water in Texas, because a lot of them are man-made, so they don't really have a lot of flow into them. And the clearer bodies of water are the ones that have rivers and stuff flowing into them, but a lot of the bodies of water in Texas are man-made, so a lot of them have that muddiness to them, because they don't have a lot of flowing water going through them.
Huh.
So yeah, I did swim in water like that a lot, actually. And there's nothing really wrong with it. That's like when I got older and we went to pools and stuff, and people would like open their eyes in pools. I'm like, why are you opening your eyes? It's gonna hurt. Because, you're swimming in dirty water. There's no point in opening your eyes because you can't see anything anyways. So then by the time I would actually go swim in pools and stuff, it was just like, what's the point of opening my eyes? I don't care to see underwater. There's nothing to see. So... That's sidetracked. Sorry. But so they were playing around and stuff, and then all of a sudden they see a leech. I believe it's on Vern.
Yes. It's on Vern's neck. And they all freak out. It's great. Yeah, they just like strip, and they just start pulling leeches off themselves and off each other.
And let me tell you, so I have actually been in a body of water that had leeches in it before.
Oh God. Tell.
But it's not anything like this. it was not anything like this. Like, the only reason I knew there was leeches in there is because my cousin, he didn't know he had a cut on his finger or something. I just know it was somewhere near his hand. It might have been his arm, I don't remember. But he had a little cut, so it was an open wound. And that's what leeches are attracted to. They're not attracted to just, like, people. You have to have an open wound for them to be attracted to, because they can smell that blood, even if it's not bleeding. And so we got out of the water, and he saw something on his hand, and that's how we found out there was leeches in the water, is because he had a cut on his hand, and then we got out of the water, and there was a leech on it. But all of us had been in the water, and he was the only one that had a leech on him. So it doesn't exactly play out like this, but I think this is a good kind of, like, cinematic thing. Like, they're having fun, and then all of a sudden they freak out because they've got all these leeches on them.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
Especially the one with Gordie.
Yeah. But it's just that it's not, like, I've actually had an experience like this, and it's not anything, like, you won't, if you go in a body of water that has leeches in it, it's not going to be, like, they're not going to swarm to you.
No. It's like Gordie finds one down his underwear.
Yeah.
And pulls it out, and he just passes out.
Because he has, like, blood all over his hand. Because that is what leeches like. They do like blood, but you have to have that open wound for them to even, like, I don't think all of them don't have teeth, but I'm pretty sure most of them don't have teeth. I don't really know how many different types of leeches there are, but at least the kind that I have been in water with do not have teeth, because all they did was suck on my cousin's hand because he had a cut. So, but apparently these have teeth because they were able to lacerate him.
That's a good way of doing it.
But yeah, so he passes out because of that.
I lost my spot.
Then we jump to the older kids, and they're just being little stupid people on the road, driving like dummies.
Playing chicken.
Yeah. Then the little kids are getting closer and closer, and they think that they're in the right area to see the body, and so they've split up, and now they're looking in the woods, and Vern spots the feet.
Yep, Vern finds it. Finds the body.
And it's kind of like an uncomfortable scene because they don't know what to do at first. They're just like looking at him. And I didn't really get a clear view because, like I said, my copy was very bad. The one I was watching was very bad. So I couldn't tell how damaged he was. But from what I could tell, it didn't look like there was a lot of blood or anything.
No. There wasn't. It was like blood out of his nose. His eyes were open and everything. I think there's some blood out of his mouth. He looked like he was sprawled out on his back and his shoes were missing.
Yeah.
Because it got knocked clear out of his, was it Keds or something?
Something like that. Out of his shoes. But still. But then the older kids show up. And they're like, you have to give us the body because we're going to take it in. We're going to turn it in. And Chris is standing up to Ace, telling him, no, you can't take it. We're going to take it because you guys are just going to treat him badly and stuff. And then Ace is, like, threatening Chris, of course.
With a pocket knife.
Yeah. And Gordie pulls out a gun.
Shoots it in the air.
Yeah.
And then he points it at
see
Ace.
him.
He's like, I will shoot you.
Yeah. So like, there's this whole big thing, and Ace is like, you're going to regret this, and they're griping at each other, and he's like, fine, we'll leave, but we're going to beat you up later for it. And so all of the older kids leave. There was like 7 of them. Like 6 or 7, because it wasn't just the 4. They had a few more of them with them, so if Gordie didn't have that gun, it would have ended very badly for the little kids. But so they leave, and the younger kids decide to leave him there, leave the body there, and that they're going to make a phone call instead.
Yeah.
Because they don't think that it's right to take glory over someone's death. Which is kind of like a really good moral turn for these boys. Because they're all like super excited about getting all the fame and glory from finding this dead kid. And they just don't even consider the fact that this kid's dead.
No, dead kid.
Just like, yeah. But so they kind of cover him up a little bit so that way he's like protected a little bit from the elements as much as he can be. And then
they walk back.
Yep. And we kind of get the narration about what happened to everyone. Chris and Gordie stay friends through middle school because Chris decides to take the college courses with Gordie. And then Vern and Teddy don't, so they make new friends in those classes and just kind of become acquaintances. And then it tells about like how when they got older, like what happens and stuff.
So it says in the movie that Vern got married, had like 4 kids, working as like a forklift operator or something like that. Teddy tried to get in the military, but, you know, his ear and his poor eyesight, because he wears glasses, they wouldn't let him in. So he just did try, you know, getting into trouble in town. He did some jail time and everything.
Yeah. And then Chris got through the college courses because of Gordie, because Gordie helped him every day with homework and stuff, and Chris tried, even though the teachers weren't happy about him being there, but, like, he got through it, and then he went to college, he went to college, he went to law school, and he became
a lawyer,
an attorney.
Yeah.
And then he was in a fast food restaurant, there was a fight in line.
Right in front of him, and he's tried to be a peacemaker, because that's how he is. And he tried to stop the fight, and he got stabbed in the throat or something?
Yeah, stabbed in the throat. And then we see adult Gordie again, and he's writing this story.
And then, like a kid and his friend comes in. You're guessing it's Gordie's kid. Comes in, he's like, when are you done writing? Just come out and play with us.
Yeah.
And then he goes out after he finishes typing the story up, and he goes outside with them.
Yep, and that's it.
That's about it, yeah.
So the music for this is by Jack Nietzsche?
Nietzsche.
Yeah, whatever. That's close.
I was like, I only know that because it's a philosopher's name. Last name also. Don't ask why I know philosophy.
But he is known for An Officer and a Gentleman from 1982, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest from 1975, Moulin Rouge from 2001, and Starman from 1984. His very first work was Village of the Giants, and he won an Oscar for An Officer and a Gentleman.
I haven't seen An Officer and a Gentleman in such a long time.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've seen it or not.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But, I like the music.
Yeah.
I liked how they worked in, like, popular music from the time, as well as, made it work with what was going on, and then also just like regular score type thing.
Yeah.
I like it when it's able to be cohesive and stuff, because there's sometimes when you start working in music from the time period and it's just like, that does not work.
Or it could be, you know, like 8.5.
Yeah,
or it's completely out of place and you're like, what the hell is this?
Let's just play the same song over and over and over and hope it works. No, it don't work. Okay?
I'm sorry, I had to.
I hate that movie so much. But yeah, so I liked the music. I thought it was good.
Yeah, me too.
It helped build tension.
It did. I like the popular songs. I was like, I know these songs.
Yeah, I loved it.
I was like, I know all of these songs. It's great.
Yeah.
Now,
So
the book.
comparison, yep. This is, of course, based on The Body by Stephen King. It's a novella, so I think, it's like 60-something pages?
It's not very long. I was able to read it, like, in, like, not even an hour and a half, maybe?
I don't know exactly how long it took me to read it, because I was only reading it while I was at work. So it took me technically 3 days, but I was only reading it while I was at work, so I only was able to read, like, 5-10 minutes here and there.
Oh, okay.
So it actually didn't really take me that long to read, compared to some other things. But, so, one of the major things is, actually there's not even really any major things that were changed. It's some character stuff. Like, they let Gordie do a lot in the movie. Like, Gordie was not in the book, the one that fired the gun at the end with the big kids. It was Chris that was threatening him with the gun. It was both ears on Teddy. What else? This is not really much. I'm trying to think. They kind of, at the end, with Gordie, like, as he's older, writing, like, thinking back on it, on the kid, he kind of is suspicious about the body. Like, how come there isn't more damage to the body? How come there isn't more blood?
Mm-hmm.
All this kind of stuff. And that kind of made me suspicious. I'm like, that's a good point. If he gets hit by a train, there's going to be some damage.
Yeah.
And the way they describe it in the book and the way it looks in the movie, there's not a lot of damage.
There isn't. I was thinking of that, too. I was like, that makes sense.
So I was kind of thinking, like, Stephen King does that great, brilliant thing of planting the seed without even telling you what he actually wants you to think.
Exactly.
Like, he just plants that little suspicious seed of what if somebody killed him? And then the bucket, apparently the kid had a bucket because he went looking for blueberries or something.
There's no bucket.
Yeah. And Gordie's like, well, maybe if I go back now, I can find the bucket. And it's just like, it's been 30 years. Good luck finding a bucket.
Yeah, in the book, when they find the kid, and, like, when the older kids show up, it starts raining.
Yeah.
And it was nice and sunny in the movie.
Yeah. Like, they were able to do a little bit of wind and stuff.
But it wasn't like a downpour like the book.
Yeah, it wasn't like hailing or pouring or anything like that, like in the book.
And I think the big difference is how their lives went at the end. Like, how he was telling about how Vern was, like, had kids and everything. Well, at the end of the book, it's not like that. The only survivor, actually, at the end of the book, out of the 4 boys, is Gordie.
Yeah. I was like, I know there's a major difference, but what is it?
I have it right here. I was literally
just thinking about it when you were talking about, like, what happened to the kids, and then we start talking about music, and I got distracted. So
I will tell it. So, in the movie, it says Vern got married and had kids, right? In the book, it says that he was killed in a fire that destroyed a house. It would have been a house party, and he fell asleep holding a cigarette.
Yeah. And it was like when he was in high school or something, because it wasn't even that long. Because he said in the books, it said the last time that they had talked was in, like, or that he went to the treehouse was in, like, 1981, the last time that Gordie went to the treehouse. And then it's like maybe 5 years later that
it says
Vern dies.
It says Vern died in 1966.
Okay.
And then Teddy, it says, he did want to do the army, but he's refused. So he started missing school.
Yeah.
He got a job filling holes in the road, and he got himself a car. And then what happened was, it was a car full of friends and everything. They've been drinking, and it crashed into a tree. And he turned the car over 6 times, and no one lived. Yeah. And then, of course, Chris's is actually about the same.
Yeah, Chris's story is the same. So it's a little bit, like, it's a better, I think, like, kind of a little bit of a happier ending.
A little.
Other than the fact that Chris dies. But I feel like that's something so major that sparks Gordie, because it's adult Gordie that's remembering all this, like, telling us all this. So it's like him seeing that report sparks his memory of the first time he saw the dead body. So with, of course, Teddy and Vern, it's a little bit of a happier ending rather than them dying.
Both of them dying in a fire and in a crash.
Yeah.
A little happier. I'll say that.
Yeah. So, trivia.
You say yours, because I know you said you had something.
Oh, yeah, Richard Dreyfuss.
Yes.
So, narrator. He is a narrator, of course. The original narrator for this was not Richard Dreyfuss. Like, he had recorded the entire movie, and then Rob Reiner's like, nope, I don't like that. And so, I guess him and Richard Dreyfuss are friends.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, could you do this for me? And so he re-recorded the whole entire narration. And then without telling the guy that originally did the narration, they just put Richard Dreyfuss in there and didn't even tell the dude. They're just like, wow, that's kind of funny.
You can actually see it, the two different actors. It's funny. So the original guy in the car in the beginning is not Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the other guy.
And then, of course, the guy at the end, that's supposed to be the dad. It's the same guy from the beginning. Or that's supposed to be Gordie when he's older. It's the guy from the beginning, but that is the guy that was supposed to do it. And then they're just like, no, we're going to use Richard Dreyfuss's voice because it's better. Because apparently the guy that originally did it is just terrible, and it made the movie unbearable, I guess.
It is Richard Dreyfuss at the end, though.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it is.
Like I said, I had a really bad copy. It was hard to see facial.
Oh, I recognized him
features.
immediately. Yeah, it is.
If you didn't know it was him,
if you didn't know it was Richard Dreyfuss, then you might be confused. But I know him.
Like the facial features are really hard to tell in the copy that I was watching.
Oh,
so that's why I just thought it was the same guy because they looked somewhat similar in my blurry that I was watching.
And I had a good copy, so again, plus I love Richard Dreyfuss, so I mean, I love his acting. I'm sorry, I fell in love with him with Mr. Holland's Opus, so
gotcha.
Yeah, but I think every band kid watches that at least once in their life, so at least once. Anyways, so some more trivia. So we're talking about the leeches earlier. So the leeches were made of molded latex, and they're stuck on with rubber cement on the kids. And there was some red coloring to make it look like the blood. And the funny part is that after they taken all the leeches off and everything, and the kids were denied to go to a water park because the people thought they had a skin disease.
That's funny.
I was like, oh man, I'm sorry, that sucks, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The cigarettes that the kids were smoking at the beginning and after they eat dinner when they're outside they were made of cabbage leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a pretty common one to use. Cabbage leaves or different kinds of leaves just to semi just cigarettes, because Rob Reiner is a big advocate for no smoking. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. What else? I'm trying to think. Where's the one I want to talk about? Where is it? Oh, this is just fun. I like trivia, when it involves food. So, the throw up.
Mm-hmm.
That is blueberry mix and cottage cheese to give it that gross effect.
Interesting.
Ooh, that is so gross. And I like this one because, you see, this is a young Jerry O'Connell. This is actually his first movie.
Yeah.
First movie. And then as he gets older, he's seen in more things. But this is his first movie. I'm like, aw.
Yeah. And he looks way different now.
He does. I didn't recognize him. I was like, who is this? Jerry O'Connell. What?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him. I was like, oh, you're completely different.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of change in him. He changed quite a bit. It's crazy.
Oh, I like this. So, the kids' reactions on screen when they see the dead body for the first time is them seeing the dead body for the first time. That is their real reactions. They weren't allowed to see it until that scene.
That's good directing, though.
Exactly.
Because especially for child actors, it's a lot harder to get them to do exactly what you want, so you've got to withhold stuff from them.
Yeah.
So. Alright, so let's see. Just some stuff about, like, with our show. This is our only movie so far from 1986. And this is kind of just in the middle with votes. Closer to pretty high votes, but still kind of just in the middle with the amount of people that have voted on this movie. So, it's just kind of some fun trivia there. But it is with, it's got right around the same amount of votes as The Wizard of Oz and Stalker.
Really?
So it's, yep. Because I, like, my list that I have is by fives. So 230,000, 235,000, that type of thing. So this is under the 335,000 plus.
Oh.
And so Wizard of Oz, Stalker, and Stand By Me, all at the time of our recordings, have had 335,000 plus votes.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. But, that's all for, like, our show type trivia. Let's see. Where it has been on the list before, 2010, it was number 171. 2012, it was number 175. 2014, it was number 183. 2016, it was number 193. 2018, it was number 191. And as of today, when we are recording, it is number 204.
Oh, it's dropping a little.
Yeah, it's kind of going down.
But why? That's what I'm wondering. Why?
The only thing that I can think is just that it's older and not a lot of people really know about it. Because there's a lot of new stuff coming out that gets put up on that list because of how many votes it gets and how many people, like, because, you know, when people go see a movie, the people that go see it first are the people that are super excited about it, so they're more likely to upvote that one and, like, put it 8, 9, 10 stars. And then these ones that have, like, 8.1, 8 stars start getting pushed down the list for newer movies. Because the more the internet becomes relevant, like, it's super, super important right now to everyone, including us, because we use it for pretty much everything. Like, the more that becomes a thing, the more people go on IMDb to find out actors and things about movies and stuff. Like, the more people are using it, the more votes newer things are going to get. Like, if you go look at a movie that just came out this year, it has way more votes than this movie. Just because this is older, not a lot of people really know about it anymore. Even though it's such a great movie, I think that's just really the reason it's going down, is it's just older. And that really sucks.
I appreciate the movies that, like, there's this thing, it's called Flashback Cinema. They show, like, classic movies, like a few of them every month. And I think that helps bring back the movies a little bit. But not everyone has access to that. And I wish it was more widespread. Because I found out about this a few months ago, and that's how I was able to watch Back to the Future on the big screen. I told you that Gremlins is going to be on the big screen soon.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. And it's not only the flashback movies. Like, there's quite a few that are doing that now. Like, Fathom Events is doing it. There's quite a few that are bringing back very popular movies from, like, the 80s and older. Like, things that people grew up watching that they're like, maybe they didn't get to see it and experience it in the theaters, so we're going to bring it back and we're going to let them watch it in the theaters, which I think is awesome.
I know,
because like, I wasn't born when Gremlins came out, so I'm super excited that I'm going to have the opportunity to go see it in theaters.
See, that's how I felt, because I've seen Wizard of Oz on the big screen at least 2 times now because of that. And I know Fathom does it for the anniversaries, like the 25th anniversary, the 30th anniversary. That's how I saw Princess Bride on the big screen. That's how I saw, I've seen Singing in the Rain 2 times on the big screen. I was never able to watch this because, again, I wasn't born in the 80s. I watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Loved that movie. Would I have ever seen it if I didn't go watch it at the movie theaters because of Fathom Events? No.
I think another thing that's kind of helping movies like this, the older movies, is them getting remastered and re-released on Blu-ray.
That helps.
Because then people see it and they're like, oh, I remember that movie. And then they want to watch it. And now it's in much better quality than it was because it's been remastered. So.
It does help with the remastering and everything. I was like...
But I do think newer movies are a little bit of a problem for older movies.
A little bit. It's like, I just wish more people would get the opportunity to go see these older films, especially on the big screen. Because a movie changes completely on the big screen. Again, I just saw Shawshank Redemption on the big screen, and it blew me away.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god. I was a sobbing mess. I was a mess.
I was really, really wanting to go see that one, but I did not have time because the only showing I was able to go to, or the only showing that they had up here that was, like, anywhere near me, I had my late night CPR training, so I couldn't go.
I know. I felt bad for you. I was like, sorry.
It's just I didn't know about it until I had already, till it was like the day of, and I was like, oh man.
Yep.
But that's okay. It'll come back. It's a popular movie, so it'll come back.
It will.
I mean, it's number 1, so.
For a good reason.
It'll come back. But, previously, number 191 on the list, 2010 list, The Incredibles from 2004.
Nice.
Which we did for our superhero event.
Yeah, that was one of my movies.
Then, I think this is kind of funny, 2012 list, The Princess Bride from 1987.
Yay!
Then I also kind of think this is a little bit funny, too. 2014 list, The Wizard of Oz from 1939.
Another yay for me. Like, my 2 favorite movies.
Then the 2016 list, The Knights of Cabiria from 1957. I liked that. Yeah, I liked that one a lot. And then, of course, 2018 list, this movie. And then, as of today when we are recording, number 191 is The Grand Budapest Hotel, which was our movie last week.
Oh.
Yeah, so
it's going up.
Moved up.
Nice.
Moved up 1.
Nice.
So, favorite line.
Oh, shit, I got a bunch of them.
I have just a couple because I was just so engrossed in it. I was just like, oh, I'm not going to write down any lines. And then I realized I got to the end, I wrote down 3. So, I was like, oh, crap.
Okay, go ahead. Use yours first. I have to narrow mine down a little.
Man, that's a plan and a half. I was just like, I've never heard that before. I mean, obviously, before this movie, I had never heard that. And I forgot that was something they said. And I was just like, that's good. That's funny. That's good. I don't know why I liked it so much, but I thought it was good. No ace, just you. I thought that was, like, super powerful. Like, not only for Gordie's character, because Ace is such a bully to him, but also that he's able to stand up for himself, because it seems like throughout the movie it's just Chris standing up for him, but then finally he kind of gets his courage and stands up for himself. So I thought that was a good one there. And then my favorite is, we're going to see a dead kid. Maybe it shouldn't be a good time.
I wrote that one down too. Well, somewhat similar to that. Okay. I mean, there's 2 classic lines here. You guys want to go see a dead body? Classic. Yeah. It's so funny, I forgot to laugh.
Oh yeah. That's everybody does that one all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying that all the time when I was little.
That's a good one. Great spit at the fat kid.
Yeah.
This one made me laugh because they were talking about, it was the older kids, and they were talking about, this guy was talking about, he's gone on a couple of dates with this girl, and he's like, the only thing she's let me do is fill her boobs. And it's like, because she's Catholic. So this other kid says, if you want to get laid, get yourself a Protestant.
Yeah.
I was like,
funny.
oh my god, yes. That's hilarious. Two more. This is a little conversation. It says, why don't you cook your dick? It'd be a small meal.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
And then, of course, you already took one of my lines, and I like that one the best too. This one is a good one. Suck my fat one, you cheap dime store hood. Great line. But my favorite line is, going to see a dead kid shouldn't be a party.
Yeah.
That's my line.
I'm gonna do that one, because the one I did is a little bit longer, so we'll go with the going to see a dead kid shouldn't be a party. So I like that one a lot.
It fits really well.
Alright, so what is your rating?
I'm giving this a 9.
Alright.
I don't give very many 9s either. I love this movie. Again, it's my first time watching it. I was like, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew the story because I read the book.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, let's see how close it sticks to it. Rob Reiner's directing. I love Princess Bride. I love Misery. It's a good track record so far. It stuck so well to the source material. I'm like, thank God. That gave it such bonus points for me, because I hate when movies just don't even match with the book at all. And that goes off to my rant, My Prisoner of Azkaban, but you can listen to that one later. Yeah, I mean...
See, you may just put that whole rant in there. Just edit it in.
We should. It's like, there's a whole rant.
It's too much work, because then I gotta go listen to that whole episode and find it. So
Find my rant
it's
from
too much
Prisoner
work.
of Azkaban. But yeah, this took really well. It was great acting from the kiddos, for sure. I loved it. It was just... It's a simple movie, but it didn't drag at all for me. And it just kept going. There was no dull moment to it. I mean, they're kids, and they're going to go see a dead body. It's that simple. And you'll learn a lot about kids. And I connected with the kids, for sure. It's like, I connected with Gordie, especially losing his brother like that. I lost my uncle that way. So, I connected personally, which, with me, if I connect personally with the movie, it makes it better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my 9. Again, the only reason why it's not a 10 for me is because of that green screen effect. That's it.
So I did enjoy this a lot. Basically the same exact reasons you said. Like, the acting from these kids was amazing. I loved that it sticked with the source material very, very closely. Like, the only major change was the end, when they were talking about what happened to everyone. I am going to give this an 8, though, just because I don't feel like, for me personally, it's up there with my 9s. Like, it's just a little bit lower than the movies that I rated at a 9. And I have it in front of me. The movies I rated at 9s are Prisoners, The Wizard of Oz, $1 Million Baby, and Spotlight. And I absolutely love all of those movies. Like, don't get me wrong, this movie is great, but I just don't think it's up there for me. Like, I do watch it every now and then, but it's not one of those that I'll just, like, turn on and just sit there and watch.
Oh, I will do that with this movie.
No, I will turn it on every now and then, but it's like...
Well, me personally, I will.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, because you know how I am. I like to turn on movies and fall asleep to them. This is not one of those that I would fall asleep to. This is not one of those that I'd be like, oh, I want to listen to this while I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, and again, with me, this is up there with my 9s, so...
Well, that's good.
It is. It's like, because I remember I rated Logan as a 9, I rated Beauty and the Beast as a 9, so I'm in.
Yeah.
Those are my movies I know I rated with 9s, and this is up there with me. It is.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an 8 for me, so.
That works.
Our next movie. So our next one is going to be Network from 1976. And as far as I know, that one is in English.
It is.
Okay. So yep, that will be out next week. Our event coming up, this is October, as you all know. So I am super excited.
Woo!
I actually think this is the cool thing. I think this is actually a perfect movie to kick off October with for this. Because it's a Stephen King movie. I mean, he didn't make it, but, you know, it's about Stephen King book. It's about a body. And you've got that, like, if you've read the book, or even if you haven't, you've got that kind of suspense with them going to see the body, and you've also got that kind of like little idea of what if it wasn't the train, what if it was a person. So no, it doesn't have any horror elements to it, but it does have kind of a mystery type element to it. It's not a huge one, but just a little one.
It's Stephen King.
Yeah, I think it's perfect to kick off October with. But so, of course, our October event is Halloween. We are doing our 4 Halloween movies, and that will be out on Halloween. The 2 movies that I picked are Beetlejuice and Hereditary.
And I picked Young Frankenstein and A Nightmare on Elm Street.
So, those will all 4 be out on October 31st, so make sure you check those out. We are offering premium if you would like to get premium. It's just $1 a month at the lowest level, which you can get uncut episodes, early release episodes, and a special monthly episode. And then for $5 a month, you will get all of that, plus you will be able to join us for a movie of your choice every 50 movies. The October special monthly episode is a movie that I really didn't want to watch again, but I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll watch it, I'll talk about it. And I actually had a lot to say about it, even though I hate it. It is Batman and Robin, the 1997 Joel Schumacher film. So, if you are at all curious what I had to say about that one, you can become premium, or it's available for just $1. It'll be available on October 30th, because I don't want to overwhelm people with 5 episodes in one day.
Yeah, it's a good rant. Trust me. It's a good rant.
I don't think I go off about books in that one, so... I mean, comic books, but...
Yeah, but it's comic book related, so you're fine.
Yeah, it's appropriate. If you could leave us some ratings and reviews, that would be greatly appreciated. Lets us know how we are doing. Also, if you leave ratings, that helps other people find the show. We have been going up in listeners, so that's awesome that we're getting new listeners. We would really appreciate it if you would contact us too, like let us know how we're doing, what we're doing. If you have any comments on a movie or something, like maybe you loved a movie that we hated, maybe you can explain why you loved it or something like that. It'd be interesting. We could talk to you about it and stuff. But you can find us Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those, and we will respond. One of us will, at least. Our music is by Audiobinger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. And also some fun, interesting news from our superhero event last year. The Avengers Infinity Saga, the whole entire collection, will be released on November 15th. I just saw this, that's why I'm saying it. It will be released on November 15th. It will be every single one of the movies from Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home. All 23. And some bonus content, obviously, because it's a gigantic collection. And it is yours for the price of $549. So
is that Blu-ray?
There's that. I don't know.
DVD?
I think it's probably Blu-ray. I don't think they really do Blu-rays much, or they don't do DVDs much anymore. I'm pretty sure it's Blu-ray. Oh, wait, no. It's even better. 4K.
That's the 4K?
The 4K is all 23 plus bonus content, $549, November 15th.
Wow.
The 4K ones. So, and it's actually kind of I'll post it. I'll post this picture to our Instagram, and it'll share on our Twitter, and I can post it to Facebook too. It's actually a really cool set. And I'm like, I really wish that I just had $500 sitting around because I want this. Because it's friggin' cool. But I'm just like, maybe I can just like split it with all my friends and we can just share it and just like transfer it to each other's houses and just watch them all the time. I don't think that would ever happen, but you know.
Yeah.
If you are that big of a fan of Marvel and the Infinity Saga, check that out. 4K, all 23 movies. Can be yours for the price of $549. But thank you for listening. We will catch you next week with Network. Bye.
Bye.